Come in, Mission Control. We are landing on Uranus. And this is Orbital Outlaws, and wow, this is like Star Fox team meets Scorched Earth in space on different asteroids. And man, it's actually a really fun game. I saw this game and I'm like, hey, this game really looks like, I don't know if they purposely put the banner so it looked like Star Fox, but like just the orientation of the figures, it's like, maybe they think that they're gonna get more sales if they orient the game looking like, you know, the original Star Fox box, if you know what I'm talking about. The game's really colorful, very impressive. It's got about, I think, 6 pilots. You can choose initially only 3. I played through the 1-player mode on the easiest setting, and it was like maybe a bit too easy, but it was a lot of fun. I love the fact that there's like 10 stages in the multiplayer, which is what I originally played, and you can cycle in and out different specs for your it's kind of like a space Land Rover, a rover of some type, but there's sort of like top set missiles, and then there's like a booster cannon, not a booster cannon, but like a plasma cannon would be a better way of phrasing it. And then there was something like a chain gun in space, which I'm pretty sure that's physically, you know, impossible in reality, but in a game, you know, anything's possible, everything's fair. Very colorful stages. Like, honestly, it looks like, the whole design looks like a pastel. You know, someone like actually painted this, hand painted it. Very nice and shiny. The game itself goes for like $11.49 on Steam, and it's a lot of fun. At first I was sort of like, you know, I would give this like an 8 out of 10. Kind of like, I think I forgot to give a rating for Ghost Runners, but Ghost Runners I would give like 9 out of 10. It's like, the games this week, guys, are definitely really polished, the ones I chose. They're high quality, not necessarily high price, and the more I got into the multiplayer, actually, the more I really enjoyed it. At first, you know, it was a little bit tricky. I chose one of the weapons where you apparently have to like hold down the button to charge, and then it'll fire like 10 missiles. It was really cool. I just didn't realize that at first. I'm like, why is my weapon going clink, 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 clink? And I'm like, oh, that's why. Because you have to hold the button down. The other weapons aren't like this, the ones that you start with. But yeah, it's got like a very forgiving physics. Nick and I played this game similar to this game. I don't remember the name, but like the physics were harsh. Like if you jumped off one of the asteroids, you know, you would be floating off forever. But like if you take a small leap off of an asteroid in this game, you know, you could just float around. It was pretty funny. Like, I guess the orbit, like, there's very low gravity in this game compared to the previous game that I played with him, and I think it was like 6 months to a year ago. I don't remember the name, unfortunately. I tried looking it up, but when you play as many games as he and I did, you can't always remember the name. But this one, like, yeah, you could like float around. It was pretty cool that you can go around the different asteroids, and like, you just, as long as you're careful, because each stage has like a limit box, kind of like you know, Bomberman with the different crates or bricks, whatever is blocking, like you, but it's more spherical than you know, Bomberman. So if you get too close to the stage limits, yeah, you explode. Or if you, there's usually a sun in each of the levels, but I even noticed there's some levels which like everything's spaced out, and you know, there's no way that you can land on other asteroids without getting too close to some of the other space tanks that you control in the game. I don't know how difficult it gets because I played on easy, but I would assume just with all the polish that this game has, it probably goes up pretty high. This feels like, you know, Scorched Earth meets Smash Brothers, and it's pretty friendly to user friendly to get into this game. A lot of party games, I feel like they sort of sacrifice that sometimes. Like either it's too easy or there's not enough depth. But I feel like this has a good compromise. When you first start, it's kind of tricky, but this game is quite good in that regard. It definitely feels like a con game. Just to go back to what I love to say, is this a con game? Is it not? This is. So definitely, I really like it actually. Whatever game we played a while ago, like a year or so ago, the music is pretty sophisticated. It's really nice and upbeat, and it's a lot of fun. Actually, like the polish on the graphics, as I said, it looked kind of like a very colorful sort of like pastels. That's, I think, what I said earlier. And the music, I feel like it's really high quality. Like some games, the music, I wouldn't say it's memorable, but I would say like when you're playing the game, yeah, it feels like a party sort of upbeat electronica. I don't know how else to describe it. I'd say it's high quality. Like there's some games where the music ruins the game and the rest of the game's fine, but this is definitely worth you know, definitely high quality for like an $11 game. The music, sound effects, yeah, there's actually a lot of like oomph behind. Like as soon as your tank, sort of, well, space tank shoots missiles, like they really do feel like they're real. You know, the sound effects are that well done, and I feel like we played Toys of War 2 weeks ago, and like even though it was kind of like this but on Earth and with like toy, like artillery, yeah, it's just, it really feels like you're in space firing missiles, as much as a game can do. There's local and remote play. There's also like there's 10 maps, which is pretty cool, and like as I sort of briefly touched earlier, like they're spaced out. There's a lot of variety for the 10 maps. I feel like this game's biggest weakness is definitely not the price at $11, but it's definitely the fact you only can start with like 3 different weapons you can load in on your tank. I feel like that's a huge minus, because you know, as gamers, there's less time to play games now, and it's the same with the pilot system. I think it was bad that they started with, you know, you can only choose 3 pilots, and once I beat the game on easy, which is like 4. I mean, there's different tracks, kind of like Mario Kart. Like there's easy, medium, I think, and hard. I'm not sure what the difficulties were, and there were only 4 stages, surprisingly, and then you've like beaten the game on easy. The multiplayer and the one-player mode, like it's pretty much the same thing. Like it's the same idea. They slice some you know, cutscenes like, oh, you're a galactic guy from like you're a galactic pilot from a remote planet, and you know, you're trying to fight these other factions from other planets, and you know, sort of prove yourself, I guess. Like the story, it doesn't need a story. This is one of those games that you really don't need a story at all. It's just tanks shooting each other and blowing each other up with different weapons and different pilots that look like they belong in Star Fox, any Star Fox. So the cutscenes are nice, but like it doesn't. I guess it adds a little bit to the game, to the campaign, but other than that, like the levels and the characters and everything are the same between the one-player mode and multiplayer. There's local and remote play, I think I said that. And I think if you can get this for $7 or $8, maybe not full price, but even 11 seems fair for, you know, the fun. This game's pretty fun. I wouldn't say it's like super exciting, but like once you get engrossed with it and once you start playing it a bit more, I found like I enjoyed it more. I want to give it like an 8.5 out of 10. It's a really good price. It's one of the better party games out there for sure. There's, after each battle, there's in-game achievements, and this is definitely a fun game. Like honestly, like for the amount that you're paying, you know, if it's on sale 8 to 10 or a full 11, like it's a lot of fun. there's a lot of like crappy games that you pay much more for, or even half that, and you don't get as much fun games. So for that, like, that's definitely a plus. I definitely feel like this game's biggest weakness overall is like it needs more maps, it needs more pilots. There's only like, I think, 6 pilots available. I unlocked a few just by beating on easy. Like, I unlocked almost all of them. I was surprised. I'm like, oh, it let me choose like 3 out of the 5 or 6 pilots. I don't know if it unlocked like more maps, but it looks like you can have all 10 multiplayer at least right away. I feel like this is like a lot of party games for sure. They have this weakness where there's not enough customization. And I feel like, you know, Smash Brothers has been around for like 20 years, and Smash Brothers has actually let people like customize everything. And I feel like for a party game to survive in this year, like 20 years after Smash came out, like every game needs to have a lot of customization if it's a party game. I feel like this game, like, that's its biggest weakness. It needs like more than 6 pilots. Like, even if you just like have a random character customized, like just add like 5-10 heads, or like add DLC, and like just let people like make their own characters. Like, I feel like that would really put this game further. Or make your own levels, like add your own asteroids within, like, and like just customize like the palettes of the levels, because 10 levels is great for the price, for $11, but I feel like, you know, there's room to improve. There's always room to improve in almost any video game out there, even the classics, and that's where this game, you know, hopefully can go from there, get some DLC, and you know, even bring it up to like 20 levels, and maybe like 10 to 15 or more characters would be great, because 6 is kind of low, especially for, you know, a party game. But I guess like for the characters, they all seem to be the same as far as I know. They don't seem to have different attributes. It's just about the ships. So honestly, maybe the pilot thing doesn't really matter, but it would still be cool to see. Or just make more unique ships. Like, I think the ships all look the same from what I've seen, or mostly the same. It's the swapping the parts out that seem to make the biggest difference in their appearance, at least. So yeah, I'd definitely give it like an 8.5, maybe an 8, somewhere around there. It's a lot of fun, and it'll tide you over until, you know, 5-10 years from now when we get a new Star Fox game, or whenever that will happen. So keep it Orbital. Keep on gaming. Bye.